Our project today is to make up this junction box. I call this a junction box. We've got to have a lot of things going on here. First, we've got a light switch coming in here. We've got a main power line coming into this box as well. Here's our light switch. Here's our main power. Here's a separate ground. Because this is an old building, an old house, I tapped into the existing ground line, brought that up in here. It just happens to be a white wire, but I tapped that into a bare copper line. And now I've got this other wire dangling, and this one goes to some can lights that we've been hooking up. If you haven't been checking out my videos, you might want to check that out, because I show you how to install some can lights, some eyeball can lights, and we'd put those into a kitchen. And I'm getting ready to make up the last wire connection. Okay, so I've got to first get this into the box, and I'm not sure how much wire I'm gonna need, but I'm gonna go ahead and first get a little bit of this wire out of my way. I tried to situate this box in a strategic location so that I could bring this video to you up here in an attic all by myself, and I wanted to show you how to do this. Now I've got a plastic box here. I've got to get this wire into the box. So first off, there's a knockout in the back, all in the back, just little plastic knockouts. And now I have to fish this wire up in here, so I got to bend it, and I want it out of there. And I've got the wire going over to my light. I want to situate it accordingly, and it's coming up. This is a little purlin brace, and it's holding this horizontal piece, and that's holding up a portion of the roof. These are not trusses or anything. This is old style, baby. Okay, so just gonna take a little staple like this here. I'm gonna staple that wire within 6 inches of the box. And I just make them snug. You don't have to do it too tight. You do it too tight and you could cause problems later on. Okay, so you got to remember what all these wires are for. Okay, but first things first, I'm going to go ahead and cut some of this excess off of here. This one's a little long. Let's just cut that off. You got some wire cutters. These are kind of smallish ones. You cut that if it's too hard for you. You can cut one wire at a time. There's 3 wires in this cable. Okay, here's my wire cutters. They have a next size up that I like, and they're a little bit easier to work with. Such is life, though, right? Okay, now this is my main power coming in here. I had wire nuts on there before, and I've made sure that the power is off at the breaker, and I've got to reach in this box, and I have to strip this wire. Hopefully you can kind of see this. I got to just be careful. You know, the last thing you want to do is cut your hand, your fingers or something. You know, this stuff is really kind of brittle. And that's how they did it in the old days. They wrapped this paper around there like that. You gotta take that off. Sometimes you can just pull it and it kind of curly cues off of there. Okay, I'm going to leave the wire nuts on here for right now. The main thing I'm going to do is strip these wires back and get ready. Okay, so here's one of my new 12-2 with ground wires. Get back in there and score that. get your hand out of the way when you can, you know. And don't score it too hard, you know. You don't want to hit the wires inside. Usually you can do it such where you're not going to hurt anything. Okay, so I get the wires out of the way, then I pull on this, just kind of hang on to it. My sheetrock knife, just do that. Here's the paper that goes around the ground wire. See, here's the ground wire, copper, bare ground. That's the ground wire, your white wire or black wire. The black wire is your hot, white is neutral, and your ground wire, okay? So we've got those right there. Now, I've got to reach in there and do this one. Kind of at a funky angle here. Maybe I can get up here. So I could do it backwards like this, but I don't like doing it that way. I'm just going to reach in here this way. Pull that out of the way. Make sure you don't cut any wire or anything when you're doing this, you know. It's as simple as that. Okay. Now, before I explain too much, we all know, I don't know if you know or not, but I mean, all the ground wires are going to be connected together, okay? And so I've got 3 ground wires. This white one happens to be a ground wire. I just happen to have an old piece of wire, okay? So I'm going to cut that, and let's just make the ends the same length. I got 5 or 6 inches coming out of here. Okay, line that up. Do that. Take my wire strippers. I'm just going to strip that back a little bit. Okay. Now, I'm just going to put a wire nut on here because I don't have to connect anything else to this. I could use crimp splice caps, they're called. I don't really need to do that here. Okay. Now remember, one of these ground wires is going to another junction box in the ceiling, tying into the old switch location. And I'm going to go ahead and connect the ground right here so that if anybody ever opens up that other existing junction box, and if you haven't seen that video, I've got that on my channel too, how to install a junction box, just a standard one, and it's up over there. You see it? There it is. Okay, that yellow wire comes over here, and that's the one that comes into this box. Okay, let me set this camera back up. You can see what's going on here. Where are we?